Right now, a teacher shortage is affecting schools across the nation, but it's especially bad here. A recent study found California ranks 47th among all states for its student teacher ratio. And we've been reporting on the crisis since launching To The Point back in 2022. Tonight, Becca Habegger catches up with the teacher that we interviewed a little over a year ago and talks with the lawmaker about a new possible solution.
Back in the fall of 2022, we introduced you to special education teacher Tiana Andrade.
She's handled the kids amazing. She's great with her staff.
For 3 years now, she has been teaching on essentially emergency waivers, with the state allowing the district to employ her until she passes a final test to get her preliminary credential.
There's people out there wanting to do this job. They just make it so hard to get there.
Andrade has a master's degree in education and special education with a teaching credential in intensive disabilities. But this one final test she is required to pass contains subject matter well outside what she needs to know as a special education teacher.
I'm taking a high school geometry teacher's test when I don't teach geometry. I don't teach reading. I don't teach algebra.
She says 2 other teachers in her district are in the same situation.
Personally, I've done like $10,000 on tests and tutoring. We continue to attempt them and just keep failing.
The district is out of waivers, she says. She's worried she'll lose her job after this school year.
We're lined up out the door being like, hi, I'm here to teach SPED. And they're just like, oh, well, you haven't met this on the list or this, so thank you, next. But there's no one next. So then there's a shortage.
We're facing a little bit of a crisis on the horizon.
State Senator Steve Padilla recently proposed a bill he's calling the High Quality Teacher Recruitment and Retention Act. If passed, it would create a 5-year pilot program between 3 California State University campuses and 3 nearby California community colleges. It would facilitate easier transfers between schools for students studying to become teachers, and it would require the CSUs to conduct marketing and outreach at local high schools. It would also allow college students to get their teaching credential in 4 years instead of the typical CSU teacher training program of 5 years, lowering costs for students.
Have you heard any pushback in terms of this could erode the quality? This is, taking 1 year off of that process.
The issue really isn't content, curriculum, or capability here. The issue is money and costs. I'm not going to sacrifice standards here, but we are going to be a lot more efficient.
His bill will be heard in the Senate in coming months.
All right, let's go back to that special education teacher, Tiana. What are her options?
I reached out to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. They said they don't know enough about Tiana's case to be able to comment on her situation specifically, but they did say for special education teachers, there are 4 alternatives to passing that test, though not all of them might apply to Tiana's situation. Tiana says she has a meeting next week to go over her college transcripts with an official. She's hoping the classes she has passed will be able to satisfy one of the alternatives to that testing requirement. And to be clear, Alex, she doesn't blame her school or the district. She says she thinks the state's process needs to change.
All right, Becca, thank you so much. And you already know we will continue to follow this.